I love hip hop. I love the lyricism. I love the wordplay. I love the beat selection. Like for me, a lot of hip hop artists are like real like artists, like a Michelangelo or they're poetic. You know what I mean? I think if you wrote down a lot of the artists that I like, if you wrote down their lyrics on paper, it's art. If you wrote down their lyrics on paper, it's like nothing short of amazing. Like to be able to put words together the way they do, it's an art form and it should be respected, right? Now, when we look at how the hip hop game has transformed throughout the years, now there's always been maybe a small version of hip hop that we didn't like, or like party music, or music that the lyrics weren't as deep. There's always been a section of that in hip hop. Now, I will say, and again, there's several hip hop artists that I still listen to today, but I'm not a big proponent of a lot of the new music simply for the reason I just stated. The lyrical content isn't there for me. Now, my kids, all five of my kids, enjoy hip hop music. Like they enjoy it at a high level. Most of the artists they listen to, I don't like. We have a few artists that we may enjoy the same. They appreciate a lot of the older artists that I like, and they'll listen to it and appreciate it, but it's not necessarily something they're gonna put in their headphones, right? And I understand that. But if you have children, because this is what I wanted to get to, if you have children that listen to hip hop in our community, it's important that you teach them about the art form and where it come from. And it's important because I didn't believe this at first. Like my four older children didn't live with me. They would come to my house on the weekends. I introduced them to hip hop, all brands of hip hop, how everything started, and the moving pieces they're looking at now, who's who, right? But at the end of the day, I'm not so sure I should have did it in that manner, because they would listen to what I had to say about the purity of the art form and the beauty of the wordplay and all this shit. But when they went home to their mom's house, they were living in the type of community that a lot of these rappers talked about. So in my opinion, if your children live in a certain community where there's drugs being sold, there's different negative attributes happening, it's a low income environment, the music just may influence them to act out some of the shit they're hearing in the music. Now, I'm not gonna go as far as to say if they hear about a nigga getting shot, they finna go out and do it too. But if they're in an environment where people are getting shot and people are having harm done to them, the music kind of justifies the actions of the inhibitants of the environment. That's my, so because look, if I could go back and do it again, I'm not sure how I would have did it, but I would have introduced hip hop to them in a different way. I wouldn't have just said, here it is, listen to it, and then talk about it. Maybe I would have approached it differently, because even with my children, I don't like the effect of hip hop on their lives. When I look at how they live, then look at the music they listen to, and it kind of reflects that, right? Because we're aware that more white kids purchase hip hop than black kids, and white kids ain't gang banging, they ain't shoot nobody. They're looking at it from a bubble. Like they're looking at, this is something that I've never seen before, that I've never been around. So I get to get into the world of black people for a minute, then go back to my own shit. You know what I mean? See, black kids who live in this environment, I think some of them may get confused with thinking they have to act out what they hear in the lyrics. Some of them may get confused and thinking, you know, I'm justified with treating women the way I treat them because the songs that I listen to influence that same type of behavior, right? And as I get older, we have to be honest with ourselves. Now, talking about pimping in music, drug use, drug selling, it's not good for our community, family. However you want to chop it up, it's not good for our community. Now, a young man who comes from an impoverished neighborhood, who's been through a lot of things, who's done a lot of things personally, be it negative or positive, and he has a skill to put together words. Now, when he uses this skill to put together words to talk about what he has done or what he has seen, I can't get mad at that. Everybody should be able to express their experiences, but it's a slippery slope between expressing what you've been through and what you've seen and glorifying those actions. And I don't know if a lot of our youth has the ability to discern if this person is just speaking about what they saw and what they did, or they're glorifying actions of others, right? Because what I'm 100% against is anybody getting on the microphone and lying. Anybody getting on a microphone and speaking about some shit they've never done, never saw. If it's something you just seen, you better articulate that shit in your rap, that this is what I seen happen, opposed to me being a participant. I think we got a lot of dudes in hip hop who weren't necessarily participants, but they can put words together better than the niggas who were actually participants. You see what I'm saying? But that don't give you the right to lie. That don't give you the right to glorify shit to our babies. There needs to be a balance. Even though I can find you some conscious hip hop, I can find you hip hop right now that doesn't glorify women or doesn't glorify treating women the wrong way, don't glorify pimping, don't glorify drug dealing. But big record companies, the few that we have left, that's kind of all they glorify. When you cut on the radio, you're probably going to hear somebody degrading their community in one way or the other. But they get us, the beat is so goddamn tight, some of the kids ain't even listening to the messages that are seeping through their consciousness, right? So as a parent, especially if you're a parent of young kids and you live in an environment that a lot of this shit's happening, I'm not so sure if you should treat hip hop like something your kids can just listen to. I would say pick the artist for them. If it's somebody that doesn't speak about us in a positive way and don't necessarily have a positive message, talk to them in detail about that artist, find out why they like it, then levy that with their actions, right? If you see them exhibiting any of the actions or any of the ways of the ways that these particular rappers act, you may gotta pull the music back, family. And that ain't even something that I had in my brain growing up as a young father. Like, I love the art form so much, I was like, they gonna listen to everything I listen to. You know what I mean? And today, being 40 years old, I'm not quite sure if that was the best option. So if you have younger kids who are intrigued by the music, make sure you had the conversations with them and make sure they know that some of this music, especially the popularized music, the music that we hear on the radio, if you watch videos, the music that's going to be not all, but most, has a negative connotation to the music. And my question to all of us is, how can this have a positive effect on us at all? If you're talking about shooting niggas, if you're talking about selling dope, pimping women, in society, none of this is really healthy. None of this is really healthy behavior. Can we agree that none of this is really healthy behavior? So if you listening to somebody who exhibit unhealthy behavior, how is that gonna help you? See, but I'm someone who loves it so much that I be making excuses for it to a degree at times. But I'm like, nah, man, I can't do that shit no more. If you know better, you gotta do better. You see what I'm saying? So we need to have detailed conversations with our kids about the hip hop that they listen to, and you need to be critical of the shit you listen to, even if you like the beat, right? Even if you like the beat in the hook, you need to be critical. What's good, family? You need to be critical of what your kids is listening to, right? We got way too many young men out here that's involving themselves in gang violence. We got way too many young men out here that think they hard, that when you bring up a job or you bring it up working, oh, that's some square shit, I'm a real nigga, all this kind of. Family, this is a counterproductive mentality to have moving forward. If we're all adults who feel like, I want to be alive at 60, I want to be alive at 70, you got to do things that are conducive to being alive at 60 and 70, right? So walking around the town, walking around your city with your pants down to your goddamn knees, selling your little dub sacks here.